Don't do any more shadow work until you know these 3 principles that I am going to share with you in this video. And the reason is that it will literally save you years of trial and error and trying to understand this practice on a deep, deep level. Because it is a very powerful practice. However, with certain principles in mind, you can really accelerate the healing and the integration process. Because when you understand these principles, you know what the essence is of shadow work and then can do it much more effectively. So I've been doing shadow work for about 8 years, maybe even 9. And these 3 things are really the essence, the most important things that I have discovered. So the first one, suffering has a purpose. However, it is up to you to uncover it. It is not handed to you on a silver platter. Life will not just give it to you, like, oh, here is why you suffered and why all these challenges happened, why this traumatic event happened. Because it is really in going into the darkness and then shining your light there and uncovering the light that is hidden in the darkness that you yourself will find the purpose of the suffering. You can transmute it in that way. What was the value of it? Because when you look from a higher spiritual perspective, what we are experiencing right now is just duality, polarity. And yes, a lot of bad things happen. And some bad things, you could even say they shouldn't happen. But they do happen. Because darkness and pain and suffering also is something that as consciousness we want to experience. And one of the reasons why that is because then we can uncover that light that is hidden in it. Then we can actually know what we truly are, that love, that light, that abundance. And that is also why there is suffering. And if you go more on a psychological level, there is this phenomena called post-traumatic growth. And that comes from doing basically shadow work, going into certain traumas and then uncovering the hidden benefits of the experiences after they have happened. Of course, certain things, they shouldn't happen. But after they have happened, you can find meaning in it. You can find also connection with other people who have gone through similar struggles. You can really find a lot of strength there, a lot of power, because this pain is transmuted. This is really what alchemy is at the essence, transmuting the lead into gold, because that is the purpose of suffering. That is why it happens. And then also it is just a very valuable frame to adopt, that there is something of meaning that you can uncover there, some kind of power, and then you can use that to create a great life. If you have that frame, then it is much easier to go into your suffering because you know that is where your treasure lies. And this is a common myth or story, like going into the dark cave where the black dragon is and then uncovering the treasure. That is literally what shadow work is. Being nailed on the cross and really going into the trauma and then really give up on those things that are hidden there, that are in your unconscious mind ruling your life. Because Carl Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will rule your life, but you will call it fate. So that is why it is valuable to go in there and to heal that. So the second principle that is really important to understand about shadow work is what I call the light and dark polarity. And this is a little bit similar, but really just to hit the point home to really understand it. When you go into the darkness, at some point you will end up at the light. And the other way around is also true. Because in this society, especially when kids are growing up, it is very important that we over-identify with our conscious ego, which you could also say is the light. It is the sun. You really over-identify with this aspect because certain other parts are bad and they are not good and they make you feel not good enough. And then if you're not good enough, well, people can abandon you and then, well, you have no chances of survival. So that's why the human biological body and mind system does that, represses certain parts and then overemphasizes certain other parts. But can you see that that also creates darkness? You know, if you really over-identify with that. And that is why when you go into the darkness, you will actually uncover your light. You will uncover your light. And that is also why we don't have to be so afraid of the darkness and about of the pain and the trauma. It is just a more helpful frame, but it's also a truth. If you look at the yin-yang symbol, the white contains like the black circle, and the black part contains the white circle. That's because the yin is hidden in the yang and the yang is hidden in the yin. And that is why light and darkness on a higher level are also the same. And they also serve that purpose that I'm just talking about. So that is really important to understand. And then the third principle is that we can be over polarized into a certain direction and then say that the other side is sinful or that that is wrong. That is not who I am. This is who I am. That is not who I am. And then we spend our entire life running away from the other side. And a very clear example of this is, for example, people who are into religion as a form of their spirituality. And I wouldn't say that religion by itself is a bad thing or a good thing. People can practice it in a lot of different ways. There's many different nuances. But what is very clear about religion is that at some point spirituality really got hijacked by religion and was entered in a really dualistic frame of, hey, if you don't do this, you go to hell, and if you do this, you go to heaven, basically. So it is, in essence, a pain-pleasure mechanism that has been fed to society and, of course, for many centuries was the main governing control mechanism for the minds of people. Because this is how our mind works, with pain and pleasure. Oh, I want to go to heaven, so I have to do all these things. I don't want to go to hell. I don't want to sin, so then I don't sin. But what that leads to is shadow repressions, because we are both light and darkness. And this is really essential to understand that, yeah, maybe if you look at somebody who is a Christian or a Muslim and they're really over-identified with, yeah, let's just take Christians, for example, like they're like, oh yeah, the demons, they're really bad. Oh, the demons, no, they're so bad. No, we never sin, or like we are not sinners. But in that moment, they are creating an opposition towards the darkness, towards that suffering. They say, oh, the devil this, the devil that. But let me tell you, the most profound secret is that the demons and the devils, they are also, from a certain perspective, you. You are that mechanism. You are just outsourcing this to these beings. If you really look at it, then it's also a form of, I am the light. I over-identify with light. Oh, that's the bad side. And you know what will happen? Then it will be even worse. Yes, then the demonic and the evilness of that polarity, let's just call it the negative polarity, yes, it will feel like you, because you serve a certain God, you are in opposition to that. And that is really important to understand. And then you can have the feeling, oh, when I relapse from porn, oh, Satan made me do it, or the devil made me do it. What happens to a lot of different priests and all these people? Yeah, what are they doing? Yeah, they're repressing a lot, and then, well, the kids are the ones who have to suffer for it. And of course, I'm making broad generalizations just to illustrate the concept of whatever you blame as wrong or sinful and not you will automatically be stored more into the shadow parts of your subconscious. And then what it will create is you over-identify with the other side, the light, whatever thing you think the other side is. And then the other side will automatically be more in opposition in your subconscious mind. And this is really something that you really want to avoid, especially if you want to manifest certain things in your reality, especially if you want to create a really good life where you are doing good in the world, but you also really enjoy life and you're just a human being and you can really have true self-love when you, for example, maybe slip on watching porn, for example, and you're like, oh, you're blaming yourself and that's so bad and that's so bad, and you're really putting on that, I don't know, suffering on yourself. Or, you make a mistake in relationships or you make any other mistake and it's so bad, it's so bad. Can you see that this repression is something that really never works? The benefit of repression is that it can be a coping mechanism to, basically endure a survival situation. So it does have benefits. But overall, you really want to look at your own, how can I say, neuroses and problems in your life, and then build a frame around that it is all serving you, that it is all here to bring you into higher consciousness and higher growth and more expansiveness. Because if you have that frame, you will find it. And then do things with much more awareness and then find out what is the hidden desire that this behavior tries to fulfill, instead of blaming all kinds of outside forces for your problems. Go within, go into that shadow self. Why do you have the need to maybe watch porn, for example? Not sure why I'm using that example a lot, but it makes sense. Like, yeah, because you want connection. Why are you doing certain substances? Because you have to have that release, because life is very uncertain for you and you want that coping mechanism. Why do you have the need to really prove yourself in your career, or like really feel like you have to do these things and really put on a lot of force? Well, there's like a little inner child in you that wants love. You can really go into these things and then, instead of repressing them, find that hidden desire that they're trying to fulfill and then give it a better vehicle. Yeah, because you want connection. Well, maybe it is better to go out and socialize with people more, or to connect with yourself, to find that, wow, connection is actually already within me at any moment, and if there's nobody around, I can actually connect to myself. So connection is always already here. So just to finish that point, everything that you blame and that you see as wrong, or as, oh no, I blame that thing, because this is a very common thing that the shadow self does. It makes these projections. And why does it do that? Because it says, that is wrong. I am not that. They are that. And then the funny thing is that the moment you do that, often you are that thing that you are basically blaming the other person for. And a very good example is if you look at the Israel-Palestine conflict. A lot of Israeli people say, the Palestinians or the Muslims, they're so evil. The Arabs are so evil. We should do something to them. And look at what they are now doing to them. And the other way around also. Because this is how it works. This is how, this type of shadow behavior works. And until as humanity we really see that, we will not be able to heal these conflicts, because it will always be like, oh no, that other team, they are the evil ones. And then at the same time, yeah, yeah, the person saying that is also doing the same things. Maybe look at the organization like Antifa. They are against the fascists, but they are extremely fascist if you look at it from a certain perspective. You turn into the thing that you blame and hate. That is an essential concept to understand. But it is also just, yeah, that thing of if you see something as really sinful and bad, yeah, then you will put it into your shadow. And that is not beneficial because it's not really love. And the essence of shadow work is to really build self-love. And that means loving all the parts of you. And then you become whole. And then your life will be a lot better. Things will flow more. Manifestation is more easy because you've healed these parts. You can have better intimate relationships. You feel just better regardless of circumstances because you've gone into the trauma and the darkness. And if you are a person that is doing that right now, then that is amazing. You're doing the work and keep on doing the work. It will bear fruits. And yeah, that's all that I have to say for this video. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. And then also make sure, of course, if you like the video, give it a like and also subscribe to the channel if you want more videos like this. And you can also download a free giveaway down below, like some kind of PDF. I might also include shadow work meditation, so if it's there, you can find it there. And what is also there, by the way, is our virtual summit that we did about trauma healing and personal empowerment. And this was a really amazing experience to really see from a lot of different perspectives how to heal trauma, because we interviewed 50 plus speakers and they all were experts at trauma healing, meditation, hypnosis, also shadow work. We talked to a lot of amazing people, did this great summit, and you can get lifetime access to those interviews by pressing on the link. And then you can also get 3 interviews for free by signing up. And then if you want, you can get lifetime access. And these interviews, I learned so much from them that, it really gave me a totally different perspective on trauma healing and personal empowerment. So make sure to check that out. And that is all for this video.